Today we're going to talk about our 2020 Ford F250 Superduty and answer the question, how reliable is it? And we're going to use it in comparison to our 2016 Toyota Tundra. Is it as reliable as the Toyota Tundra, or is it less reliable? We'll get to that in a minute. But we've owned this truck now for 1 whole year. So let's talk about everything that has gone wrong with it and any sort of issues we've had. I know a lot of people, including myself, have made fun of Ford over the years as fixed or repaired daily or found on-road dead, or in this case, off-road dead. However, I think Ford's come a long ways with their products, and I've been really impressed with this truck so far. Let's dive in and take a look at the engine and see what we've had go on with that. Under the hood, we have the 6.2 liter V8 engine that has been around for a long time. This was originally introduced in 2010 and is one of the reasons we purchased this truck, because I like buying old, well-proven drivetrains. It's similar to buying a used truck, but getting everything brand new, because you have everything well documented, it's well established, you know all the flaws and issues with these trucks. This engine has been flawless for us. We love the oversized transmission cooler, oil cooler, cooling system in general. We monitor it all the time and it keeps right in the zone it's supposed to. And even with pulling hills, high temperatures, and heavy loads, it's run great. No issues with power. It's been super reliable. Now, this engine does have a well-documented issue where when it starts, cold starts, sometimes, and it's sporadic, where it will have a little bit of valve train noise, a little ticking noise, and that lasts for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. And it's just sporadic. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does, and it's when the oil pressure is building up there. Otherwise, this thing has been awesome. We've had no issues. Transmissions function great. More than enough power. We're super happy with it. I know the 7.3 liter is the new cool guy engine, and it will be a great engine, I think, once it's been proven a bit. However, this one is great for us. We're really happy with it. We have 15,000 miles on the truck, and these are hard-earned miles because we only use the truck for hauling the camper, off-road, and hauling our trailer. Otherwise, we don't use it. Very rarely does it drive empty. Now, the issues that we've seen underneath the truck is the front and rear differential covers, which we replaced, are seeping a little bit of oil. And, you know, it's not uncommon. We'll definitely be resealing them when we change the differential fluid next time, which will probably be the next 10 to 15,000 miles. We're right at 15,000 miles currently. The other issue that we have with the truck, and it's related to lifting it, is that the drive shaft has a slight vibration depending on the load we're carrying and the height that it's sitting at with the drive shaft, the rear drive shaft. And it's definitely because it's been lifted. Now, this drive shaft is a one-piece drive shaft because we're running a 148 wheelbase truck. The rear of it is just a standard U-joint, the front has a standard U-joint, and then it has a slip yoke at the transfer case. Now, this is really common with a lot of the heavy-duty type trucks. Toyota basically uses a slip yoke in the drive shaft and flanges at the differential and the transfer case, which is my preferred style of construction. However, this works fine most of the time. However, you can see that from lifting it, it's pulled the slip yoke of the drive shaft further out of the transfer case than it probably should be, which is causing a little bit of vibration. We'll probably be taking it off here before too long and extending it maybe an inch or so, just to get it back into the transfer case a little further and get it rebalanced. Otherwise, underneath, everything's been really solid for the drivetrain, the frame. Component-wise, I've had no issues at all. Electronics, no issues. It's really been a pretty solid truck overall. Pretty happy with it. That brings us to our #1 complaint and problem with this truck, and that has been the Ford dealership service. It has been terrible. Now, we've taken this truck to, I think, 4 different dealers so far, and we even gave one of the dealers the opportunity to try to rectify some of the problems. Now, all we've done is basic maintenance, which is just the standard oil changes, and this last one for the 15,000 mile service was terrible. They have oil all over the valve cover. It's on the air intake, as if they didn't use a funnel, or I don't even know, but at least clean it up if you make a mess. But then the oil filter covered with oil, the oil pan covered with oil, the axle covered in oil from the oil filter dropping and dumping all the oil down the axle. Now, I understand if you're doing your own oil change at home type of deal, but seriously, if you are a professional shop, you should leave the vehicle as clean or cleaner than it arrived, which it arrived clean because I clean it. Now, why do we have the dealer service the thing? Well, typically with new vehicles, I've had the dealer service them while they're under warranty. We did not buy an extended warranty. It's just the standard, I think, 36,000 mile warranty. And, you know, I like to keep having the dealer service it. They also provided free oil changes. Might as well use them. But it's become a huge hassle, not only the time of taking it to the dealer, but then trying to deal with the problems afterwards. Let's see, one of the oil changes, we were overfilled on oil significantly. So much so that I brought it back to them and had them drain it out and put it to the proper level. Another time, they put the wrong oil in it. This takes 530 weight oil and they put 520 or some other oil into it. That's crazy. They've had the oil filter leaking onto the exhaust, and we smelled oil leaking and burning off for a long time, and finally brought it back to them and said, hey, let's get this thing put in correctly. And they rechanged the oil again. So it's had a lot of oil changes, most of them follow-up oil changes to the oil changes, and I don't understand why it's so difficult to have it serviced properly. That's probably my number one complaint with this truck so far, has been just dealing with the dealerships. And it's not true with all dealerships. You know, we had the Toyota Tundra. I've bought 8 or 10 vehicles brand new and had them serviced. And I always check the work afterwards, and it's been, you know, reasonable enough not to complain. But this has been a real disappointment, and it's not just one dealership. It's been dealers all over Arizona and one in Oregon. I think the one in Oregon was actually the best one we had. The other kind of interesting issue we had was with regards to these hubs. Now, these hubs are vacuum actuated, so you can shift into four-wheel drive on the fly and it will engage the hubs via vacuum line. It can also be overridden by just manually turning it to engage the front hubs for four-wheel drive. Awesome. We noticed that there was a slight whirling, whooshing noise driving at slow speed, and asked the dealer about that when we brought it in for service. And the tech thought, oh man, your hubs are bad. And I thought, that's a little strange because they work fine still. However, they replaced, I think, both hubs on this truck. It's hard to say because they didn't really document it very well on the paperwork. Under warranty, it didn't cost us anything. And then the tech noted that the same whirling kind of wind noise is still happening, and apparently the hubs were fine. It's just a thing with them. It's probably as the diaphragm spins inside there in the seal. I don't know. They've worked fine for us. They've never had an issue, but we did have them replaced, I guess, under warranty. I couldn't verify any of it. So maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it still works fine. That's really been the main issues we've had with this truck so far in the first year, and it's gotten some heavy duty use. I mean, most of the time the camper's on there. I mean, it has at least 3,000 pounds of just stuff on the truck all the time, and then we'll be towing our enclosed trailer, which is a double axle enclosed 7x14 trailer, and we'll put in, you know, 4,000 pounds in that thing plus the 2,000 pounds it weighs, you know, and it's done great. No problem with it at all as far as durability and reliability. It's worked really well. Now, a lot of people say, well, new vehicles are always reliable, and that's not the case. Just because you have a warranty on a vehicle does not mean that it is reliable. Now, warranties do limit your liability, which liability and reliability, not the same thing. The liability is more or less your risk factor of having to pay money to fix or maintain your rig, whereas reliability is it just working. And as far as a reliability standpoint, I would give this thing a thumbs up. Now, compared to a Toyota Tundra, I know Toyota has this famed reputation of being the most reliable truck and Toyota fanboys, you know, including myself, I've owned lots of Toyotas, just say, you know, it's the baseline comparison for performance of reliability. And I've owned 2 Toyota Tundra trucks, brand new. I owned a 2010 and a 2016. My 2016 got by far the most amount of use. We had a 4-wheel pop-up camper on it for about 9 months, never removed it. It was lifted slightly, but stock size tires, and drove it all down through Baja, all over the country. It had some pretty rough off-road miles on it. It was an awesome truck. Put 50,000 miles on it in about 1.5 years of driving. And really the main issue that we had with the Tundra was with regards to the transmission. The transmission had a transmission cooler in it, but it had a valve on the transmission that would basically open and close to send the fluid up to the transmission cooler. In essence, the transmission cooler wasn't used at all until the coolant got up to a temperature that was high enough to then circulate the fluid. And it should be noted that the new Tundras don't even come with the transmission cooler at all. There's nothing. And that's insane to me. We overheated the transmission one time that I know of really good, and it cooked the fluid, and we changed the fluid, I think, at 30,000 miles. And I was surprised by that. I thought that was really a neglectful thing for Toyota. We ended up pinning that valve open on the side of the transmission, so that way it kept the fluid always circulating through the cooler, and it worked fine after that. However, the new trucks don't even have a cooler. That's insane. And I've seen temperatures on the transmission fluid running up into the 300 range, and Toyota somehow says that's fine. So is Toyota the best? I don't know that they are anymore. You know, they used to be definitely pushing the bar for reliability and adding, you know, extra durable components, so they would underrate it, and then people would overload them and they'd still perform. This truck, I think, is far superior as far as the durability and design standpoint in comparison to the Tundra. As far as the reliability goes with it, I think when you buy a well-proven drivetrain, you know, the Tundra had a drivetrain that came from the 2007 truck, and it had not been changed up through 2016 and even through the current trucks. And it was well proven, it was awesome, and it worked great. This is very similar to that. It's well documented and proven. So if you're looking for just a straight up reliable type rig, it'd be hard to fault this truck so far with our experience on it in comparison to a Tundra. I think that they're right at the same league. I have no issues with either as far as just the build quality and the reliability for them. So, should you buy a Tundra or a Superduty F250? I think it just depends on your use. You know, if you want to go a little heavier duty, this truck is awesome. And the 6.2 liter is fantastic. I would have no problems with running this in comparison to the Toyota Tundra 5.7 liter. It actually has more power, and it's great at low RPM. It loves just chugging along, whereas the Tundra 5.7 is a screamer. It loves to rev. So depends on what you like. Thanks for watching our 1-year reliability review of our Superduty. If you have any thoughts or questions, post them up below. If you have any sort of reliability issues you've had with these trucks or with the Toyota Tundra, post those up too. I'd love to hear how your experiences have been. Obviously, we're limited to only the 2 trucks we've had, or 3, I guess, or 4. I guess we've had 2 of these and 2 Tundras, but we've had a really good experience with both of them, and I have no complaints with owning this short of the dealerships. Thanks for watching, and be sure to give us a thumbs up. We'll catch you on the next video. Thanks so much.